See, I did it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 94 Feet. It's obviously great to be back. We did have a little bit of a summer shows going on, whatnot, NBA Finals, obviously the draft, some summer league stuff, but of course, it's the first time since May that Danny and I have both been back in the Valley of the Sun. Danny, let's just start off with it. Hey, how you doing today?
Good to be back. I didn't really do much today. I'm still setting up the new house. Lighting is bad. My microphone, I don't have my mic set up, so it's like I'm on like a makeshift mic stand. We'll figure it out though. It should be a good show. Glad to be back in this super hot state though.
Oh, I was gonna say it's something that everybody loves to come back to, especially right there during the summer. Obviously, of course, I mean we've been doing some advertising all week throughout this, just kind of doing a fan appreciation episode. Want to making sure that we get the fans' takes on pretty much what's coming up on this NBA season. I mean, it still seems a little bit far out, starting up in October, but before you know it, preseason is going to be starting soon. Of course, there's going to be some news talking points and whatnot. They'll probably be coming up over the next few weeks. So, I mean, it's starting up before you know it. So, of course, we want to make sure we took the time, appreciate the fans, hear what they had to say. I mean, Danny, obviously, you remember over the summer we did have a pretty decent fan base. At least it felt like that pretty consistently. So, we got to take some time to appreciate them.
Yeah, I know. Shout out to everyone tuning in for sure. And we're gonna try to keep doing these live streams. Try and keep it consistent. I know we took a little break there, but I'm really excited to be back. It should be a great semester. Can't wait to be back on the radio. And yeah, just happy to be here.
Oh yeah, exactly. I feel that. And real quick, actually, right before we get into this, I do want to ask Dan, you got anything happening over the summer that you want to let the fans know about?
What went down for me over the summer? Bro, I was just working, enjoying Cali weather. I was at the beach like once a week. I'm not even gonna lie. It's like a 25-minute drive from where I live. As soon as I drive here, I'm like, man, this is too hot. Kate, it's like 99. And it's like 10 o'clock right now. I don't know how you did it all summer.
I know it's terrible, especially being downtown, where just you get all the heat kind of radiating. It's
Yeah.
terrible, but I was gonna say once you get used
I
to it,
was
it's not too
I
bad.
was scrolling on TikTok, Kate. I saw Arizona is ranked the worst state out of all 50 states.
I don't. Okay, so you got Wyoming, you got the Dakotas. I mean, there's some other states up there that are pretty bad. And I think Arizona's not a bad. I mean, maybe not the best place to live, but I think it's a pretty good state if you ask me.
Yeah, I think that was a hot take, but we'll
Oh,
speaking of hot takes,
100%.
we'll get into them. But how was your summer, Cade?
I'm gonna say it was good. Work, school, all that same stuff. Nothing too crazy. But of course, I mean, like I said, we took some time to make sure this live stream's good. Obviously, I feel like it just kind of felt like we had the summer to kind of test it out, see where things are going. And I really do think these next few months it's going to be a great time for us. We're going to get some good stuff out there, good content out there. I think we're going to really develop a much bigger fan base after this. And I'm just really excited for it. But as you mentioned, hey, hot takes, hot takes, hot takes. We got a lot coming from fans. I mean, shoot, I think what we tallied up probably like I want to say 10 or 11. I mean, or maybe not that much. I think we got like 9, but still, I mean, that's a
That's
solid
solid.
amount in my
Yeah.
opinion. So, yeah, let's just, I
That's some
mean,
good takes too. Good takes too.
good, yeah, good takes, bad takes all over the place. Takes that didn't even involve basketball, which I thought were kind of funny. But yeah, no, I mean, straight into it, mentioning one of the takes that really didn't mention basketball at all, coming in from Dwayne. His take, I long for a world that doesn't so closely resemble hell. I'm going to go ahead and say, I mean, we live in Arizona, so that's kind of a given right there. It does kind of resemble hell that way, just with the heat and whatnot. Oh, Danny, did I lose you? Are you still there?
Am I good?
Oh, shit. I was gonna say you're frozen on my side, but hey, as long as we got the
Okay.
audio, I think we'll figure that out. But
On my
yeah,
side,
no,
I'm
I
really
mean it's hot here, so I guess he's kind of on the hit the nail on the head there. But Daniel, how do you feel about this take?
long for a world that doesn't so closely resemble hell. Well, unfortunately, Dwayne, is he talking about the heat? I don't know if there's a deeper message underlying this quote. Um, but I guess we all kind of hope for that. Hopefully, hell isn't as, or I'm pretty sure hell is worse than what we have it up here.
I
Um,
agree. I think honestly, I think it might be just Arizona. Way too hot
yeah,
out here, but that's not a terrible take. It's just a bit hot. I think that's the way we're going to it. We had to get that one out of the way, but of course now we got the basketball takes to get into. First one coming in from Aiden. I think this is a pretty interesting take in itself. Oh my bad. Okay, hold up. We'll get to yours next, right after this bullet. Yeah, but I think from Aiden coming in as a pretty good take in itself. And I think this is a solid one, but John Stockton or Karl Malone, both of them are not top 10 in NBA history. I think that's solid. I mean, I think there's no argument there. Karl Malone, I think, is the one you can make an argument for. I mean, he's
Yeah.
way up there on the all-time score list. He's still number one, right? I'm going to say that hasn't changed up.
All-time scoring list.
Yeah,
Karl Malone's third.
Oh, he's third? Oh, shoot. Okay,
Yeah.
my bad. Okay, but I mean, still, he's up there.
LeBron, Malone.
That's right. Okay, I forgot about that. LeBron passed him. But, yeah, I was going to say, that's a solid take in itself. I mean, Karl Malone, like I said, Karl Malone's the only one that I could really see being on that top 10 list. But realistically, I mean, scoring is the only thing that really sets him apart stat-wise. You know, I think there's, but at the same time, like I said, it's if that's the only thing you got going for you, it's kind of hard to compete with some of the other guys up there. I mean, obviously LeBron, MJ, Kareem easily up there, Magic, Bird. I mean, those are just 5 players right there, just listed off like that are easily top 10. And then, of course, you probably can, I mean, take the time to really consider the next top 10. So, yeah, I don't think this is a bad take at all. Like I said, Karl Malone, not on there. Stockton, I don't even think there's an argument. No way he's top 10.
No. So this summer I wanted to make like my own top 50 list, and I never got around to it. And so I don't know where I would have Stockton or Malone, but I do have a top 10 list, and I'm telling you, both of these guys aren't on mine. Like you said, I agree. You could probably maybe squeeze Malone in at 10 if you're like a Jazz fan, but he has like 11-time first All NBA. He has the points, all-time leader in free throws made, attempted. He's got the scoring stats, like you said, Kade, but he had a long career. Every single year he played, he made the playoffs, and unfortunately, he's got no rings to all those playoff appearances. Same with Stockton. No one's saying he's a top 10 player. I mean, we're just talking like best players in the point guards in the 80s. He's not even up there. I mean, you got Isaiah Thomas ahead of him, Magic ahead of him, and then even when they retired, he didn't win in the 90s. I mean, both of these guys, they have the stats. Stockton, all-time leader in I think it's assists and steals. Steals no one's gonna touch those records. But you know, when it comes down to, you know, you need a shot, it was never Stockton. It was always Malone getting set up. Stockton only 2-time first team All NBA awards. So yeah, but neither of these guys are sniffing my top 10 either.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Stockton, not even a question. I think the best way you can compare it is I feel like John Stockton is kind of in a Chris Paul role, in the sense that, like, obviously he's going to be a good player when it comes to just building a good team around. But realistically, he's never going to be that true team lead. He's never going to be the guy that really helps you win championships if it's just him alone. So, yeah, no, I think so. I think that's a great take. You know, John Stockton, not even close. Karl Malone, you can make the argument, most likely if you're a Jazz fan. Other than that, no. So Aiden, I got to say I agree with that one pretty closely. But Danny, let's get into the next one. I was going to say you had some friends send in some, so let's hear one of those.
Which one? Let me see which one we'll go. We can do we'll do the Nets. Okay. So Kevin sent in the Nets are making the finals and winning it all, and Giannis is winning MVP. Okay, do you want to react to this one first?
Yeah, so here's my thing about the Nets, and I'll start there. Obviously, Giannis MVP, not even close to being a hot take. That's 100% possible. I think you look into the odds and odds going into the season. He's going to be top 5 easily. So, Giannis winning MVP, no, I think that's no brainer. I think that's a genuine possibility. Nets making the finals and winning it, though, that's going to be the really interesting one, because you obviously have had all this news in the offseason. Kyrie possibly going to LA, the Nets possibly trading Durant to anywhere. I mean, Toronto, Miami, Phoenix, all possible trade members on that list. So for a Nets team that is obviously, and even my bad, I forgot to make the obvious news too. I mean, Durant pretty much saying that he wants Steve Nash out as head coach, even though he was one of the players that wanted to bring him in as head coach. So, I mean, you have all this drama, all this kind of news circling the Nets in this offseason, especially over the past few weeks. If the Nets were to make something happen and go to the finals and win the finals, to say the least, that would be insane. I mean, that'd be one of the biggest storylines, and at least that I would say, but if you get to the year 2030, that'd be one of the biggest storylines in the NBA this decade. I think that's how big it would be. Do I see it happening? I mean, if Kevin Durant decides he wants to stay with the Nets, I mean, obviously things are not looking that way. Obviously, it looks like, I mean, he wants change no matter what. But if Kevin Durant decides to stay with the Nets or the Nets decide to keep him and he plays with the Nets, I mean, obviously that's a playoff team right there. And you look at the East as of now, I mean, there's some good teams there, don't get me wrong, but the East I feel like is one of those conferences that are wide open right now. So I think there's a genuine argument to be made that if the Nets are able to stay healthy and KD and Kyrie are able to actually make the team the way they like really have been expecting it to be, I think there's a genuine possibility it could happen. I'm not sure if it's going to. I think there's so much in between all that happening from right now, but it's possible. So as of now, I've got to say, I mean, the Nets going to the championship and winning it, that's a hot take. Giannis going to the MVP. Not a hot take at all. I like that one.
Yeah, so I looked up the MVP odds. Giannis is the third favorite behind Luka and Joel Embiid. But Nets winning the finals. Okay, what you said? You said you like it.
I mean, I said I think it could
Yeah.
happen, but I doubt it's ever gonna. I mean, it's
Okay, yeah.
like saying, yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Well, I don't think it's gonna happen. I do think this is a hot take because if you look up and down this Nets roster, it looks so pretty. It looks like such a good roster. You got as your big three, Ben Simmons, KD, Kyrie. That's a solid big three. But also they signed Royce O'Neal, a solid forward. TJ Warren, another solid forward who, went off a couple of years ago in the bubble. They got tons of shooters. Cam Thomas, Seth Curry, Joe Harris, Patty Mills. They have a solid roster. But unfortunately, there's just no team chemistry, and I don't think they probably will win enough games to be a top five-ish team in the East. I think just pure talent alone. But KD and Kyrie, they don't stay healthy. But you said it earlier. Both of these players don't want Steve Nash there. KD said it publicly. Kyrie said it before Nash got there. He said, I feel like we don't need a coach. Whoever I forgot the exact quote. I'm paraphrasing, but he said, I feel like this team doesn't need a coach. They've been butting heads with the front office all off season. Both Kyrie and KD, tons of trade talk. We don't know if Russell Westbrook is going to end up on this team in a couple months. And then Ben Simmons, he sat out a whole season. He wanted to get traded because his co-star said, you got to be more aggressive. I just don't think these guys are built to go on a deep playoff run. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I don't think they're going to make it past the first round of the playoffs, Cade, next year. I go back to what Goran Dragic said, who he was with the team last year. He says, I have the quote right here. He says, I've played with some stars, and I have to admit it was difficult. The focus was not on the team, but more importantly, the individuals. That's what Goran Dragic said this offseason after he left the Nets. So there's just not enough team chemistry. I don't think too much hero ball just doesn't work in the playoffs. We saw it last year when they got swept by who they get swept by, the Celtics, right? Yeah,
Celtics.
And Kyrie shrunk. KD didn't do enough, and they got swept. So, Kate, did I say a hot take? I don't think they're gonna make it past the first round.
No, not a hot take at all. I think I mean, realistically, you look at this, the ceiling for that team is winning an NBA championship. The floor of that team is ending up as like the 9th seed, probably. So, I mean, that is a massive difference just between those two. So, no, I don't think that's a terrible take at all. I think that's going to be something that you could see play out well. And as you mentioned, and obviously as Dragic mentioned, that I mean, you have 3 stars who have consistently had issues throughout their career when it comes to either staying healthy or just staying out of the public figure without making themselves look bad. And you putting them all 3 of those players on a team. I mean, it's not going to look necessarily pretty, but I think at this point with the talent that team has, if they can get it together, it's a possibility. I think the biggest thing is you're going to have to just wait and see how this first half of the season plays out. I mean, I think by the time of the trade deadline is going to be a perfect area to figure out exactly where they're going to be, because of course, like we mentioned, Kevin Durant still wants out. So if there's a possibility he's traded by the trade deadline, he says is one of his top destinations is Phoenix. I think the Suns. Ayton has to agree to a trade before I think it's January 15th. After that, it's free for whoever.
Hmm.
And that's even if he ends up in Phoenix. Obviously, Toronto's still up there. Miami's still up there. That's a possibility, especially if both teams look like contenders this year. So it's, again, like I said, I mean, I think you're going to have to wait for the trade deadline to see where this team ends up. But as of now, I mean, where we are way before the season has even started, there's no way that this team makes it to the championship.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Yeah, no, I was going to say hot take there, but not terrible. But let's get into the next one. This is coming in from Lily. And I wish I could actually play the highlight up here for you guys. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe that's something we'll be able to do in the future, but uh, obviously not the
I
case.
think
But if you
everyone
guys
knows it though.
haven't, oh yeah, everybody knows it. So yeah, the Shannon Brown's block on Mario West should have been a block. Danny, I'll let you take over on this one real quick. How do you feel about that?
Um, I think this is easily a block. I don't really know. He clearly got all ball. He pins the ball on the backboard and grabs it down. I mean, maybe some body contact, but if you get all ball, it's all clean. You know, as a former YMCA youth ref, Kate, I know how hard it is on fast breaks when it's just a one-on-one fast break. And I've made this mistake as a ref, Kate. Whenever you see someone's hand like cock back, and just and like pin a ball, you just kind of, as a ref, you just get excited and you kind of assume there's a foul that's going to be there. So I think that's what that ref did. He just saw a murder and he blew the whistle. I think if we ask that ref today, he's going to say he made a mistake calling that a foul. The dude that got blocked definitely knows
Mario
it wasn't
West,
a
yeah.
foul, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's what I got to say.
No, see, and I feel like this almost, I mean, I don't want to say this happens almost every year, but I feel like pretty consistently we are getting to that point where there's like some kind of just big almost foul kind of play. I mean, just with the contact and whatnot, I mean, you could make that argument that there could have been a foul there, but I feel like that happens almost every season where there's just some big play, whether it's a block and dunk, just anything like that. That, I mean, it's clean, it looks great, but of course they get the foul call on them, takes it off the board. I mean, this is one of those ones where it's like it looked really good. I can understand where that's coming from, just that energy, that excitement. But even then, like I think at that point, like it's just one of those things where it's like, shoot, it's such a good block, or in the other situations, it's such a good dunk or whatnot. Just keep playing, just let it happen. Because there's no way. I mean, it's granted there are times that obviously is a foul or whatnot, but like, come on, like just let it happen, let it play. I mean, if there's no like real strong evidence, give the fans what they want. So yeah, no, I agree. I think should have left this one as a block. Shouldn't have called the foul there. And yeah, I mean, it's never fun to see, especially if it's one of your teams. But no, that's not a terrible take at all. I like that one.
All right, what's the next one?
We'll go with one of your boys again. From Angel. Do you want to say it out loud?
Okay, yeah. Angel says THT will have a breakout year and Brandon Ingram will finish in the top 5 MVP voting. This might be the two hottest takes that we have today.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm a huge fan of those. THT, okay, Talon Horn Tucker, I could see it happening. I mean, you look at that Lakers roster. He's still with the Lakers, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
for
just
now.
making sure. I was gonna say, you see that Lakers roster as of now. It's a very possible thing to happen. I mean, it's a very shallow roster from how it seems. So I think it's very possible that Talon Horn Tucker, maybe not in the sense that he's going to be that breakout star like league wide, but at least with the Lakers, I think he's going to put together a much better year than he had last year. And he's actually going to help the Lakers possibly find themselves in a position where they're making the playoffs, not just the play-in, but actual one of the top 6 seeds in the West. That's not a terrible take. I mean, again, like I said, if you're looking at this from just a team level, I could very much see at league level. No, I'm not. I don't. He's not going to be. He might have a breakout year, but he's not going to be that recognized. So yeah, I'm not necessarily saying I would disagree with that take, but if we're talking, yeah, like I said, if we're talking league wide, I don't agree with it. Brandon Ingram finishing.
Yeah, let me hop in on THT real quick. As a breakout year kid, I just don't see it this year. Last year was his chance to shine. Going back 2 years ago when there was so much trade talk going on in 2 off seasons ago, LeBron said we just want THT on the roster next year. THT was the untradeable piece, and I mean he's still only 21. He's got like a 7'1" wingspan. He's got the immeasurables for sure, but he didn't get better last year. He averaged 10 points per game, on 42, 27, and 80 splits. Nothing special. This was his year to kind of establish himself as a rising star in the league, and now he's no longer untradeable. He's probably the only asset other teams kind of want now with Russell Westbrook. So I just don't see it happening because I don't think he'll be on the Lakers 5 months from now, honestly.
All right, I could see that being one of those or finding himself in one of those trades. Um, no, see that's what I'm saying is that I really don't think he's going to be that big of a breakout player throughout the league. He's not going to be making ripples throughout the league. But of course, I think he's going to find himself in a position where if he recognizes that he's a possible he could possibly be traded. Lakers recognize that. I mean, he almost has to have a good season because if he wants to stay with the Lakers, there's a chance that he has to play better to make sure he's not traded. If he does, I mean, or if not, that's not the case. Maybe he even wants to play better to get off that team. So I think, like I said, I think he could put up better numbers than last year. And if you want to call that a breakout, you call that a breakout. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's going to be league wide. Brandon Ingram finished top 5 in MVP voting. No, I just flat out no. There's no way that he's finishing top 5 in MVP group voting. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. I think he might be the leader of that Pelicans team, especially because we still have no clue what's going to happen with Zion for this next year. I mean, has Zion even played 82 total games in his NBA career yet? Because I feel like we haven't even seen that.
Well, whatever 61 plus 24 is that 82?
Yeah, that's 81. Oh, okay, so that's just above 82. Wait. Okay. Yeah, that's just above 82. But I mean, even then, still, like, I mean, you're talking about just barely playing a full career and what he's been in the league for. This would be his 4th season. So it's like I said, I could see Ingram being that team leader and possibly even the best player on that team, seeing where Zion is at the end of the season. Top 5 in MVP voting. There's no way, though. There's no way that's going to happen. There are just, I mean, again, almost similar to kind of the all-time talk with John Stockton and Karl Malone. I mean, you can rattle off 5 guys probably off the top of your head that are going to finish better in MVP voting than Brandon Ingram this year.
Yeah, so I had the NBA MVP odds because we were talking about Giannis. Surprisingly, Brandon Ingram is 30th, which I was kind of surprised actually.
I mean, still that's still nothing. That's way out of the way.
That's kind of saying he's a top 30 player in the NBA. But yeah, I don't see it. Last year they won 36 games. This is we have another Zion MVP take later on in the show we'll get to, but the Pelicans only won 36 games last year. That was no Zion, obviously. And BI, it's not like he led the team, but it's not like he led the team to a 500 record. I know they finished the 8th seed, but I don't know. 22 last year he averaged 22 points per game. That's less than his previous 2 years when he averaged 23. And he didn't. Oh no, sorry. Okay, no, that's right. He's a one-time All-Star though, so he's really gonna have to break out. I don't see it happening. I don't even see like a sniff of this going down.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely not. I mean, again, I think he could put together a really good year, seeing where Zion ends up. But at the same time, I mean, you will see. I think you will see him make an improvement. I think Brandon Ingram really showed out.
Be the number one, Kade. Do you think You think Zion will be the one?
I think Zion will mold into the one. I don't think he's going to be the number one right away, but I think when you're talking by December, I think at that point, if Zion truly, I mean, like I said, he's only played what you said, 61 plus 24. That's 85 games off the top of my head. I think he's only played 85 games. I mean, we still really have 85 inconsistent.
Quick math.
I was gonna say, yeah, thank you. I was gonna say, summer really hit, didn't it? But 85 games, I mean, those aren't even 85 consistent games. We have absolutely no clue how well Zion's going to be, especially with all the things coming out about him adding weight, just not being that like really consistent of a player ever since joining the Pelicans. It's going to be very interesting to see how he ends up developing if he does continue to see that consistent play. If he ends up being the Zion that we all saw out of Duke, there's a very good chance that he's going to be that number one probably by end of November, beginning of December, maybe a little bit later. We'll see. But we have no clue how that's going to work out. So I think BI is the obvious and clear number one. I'm willing to put CJ at 2 right now. Zion at 3. I think realistically, and I know you're shaking your head, but like again, like I said, Zion has done nothing to prove himself yet, at least in my opinion. So he's got to prove that. But I mean, realistically, I'll even throw the hot take out there too. If Zion is as good of a player as a lot of people were expecting him to be, I think you see him finishing higher in MVP voting than Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, we have our rankings. I think it's Zion 1 on the team, Bi, and then CJ. So our rankings are a little flipped. So if there is going to be an MVP on this Pelicans team, I think it'll be Zion. I don't think it'll be Bi.
yeah, I agree. Just again, like I said, it's very hard to say that I am like looking forward to seeing Zion since there's just been such little play time he's had. So I'm very weary. I'm very like just not concerned. That's not the right word, but little just I'm holding off until I see what I see. You know, it's almost like I don't know. It's almost like seeing the Lakers. I hate to do this to you, Danny. It's almost like seeing the Lakers ever since they won the championship in 2020. Like they have a decent team, but I don't want to make any judgments about the team until I see what they have because it's just so inconsistent. But you got any more on that one?
I'll save my my hot take for when we go to the Zion take.
Zion MVP take? Okay, let's do it. Okay, here's one coming from our good friend Austin. This is I think one of these is going to be true. One of these isn't. He's got the Sacramento Kings making the playoffs and Keegan Murray winning Rookie of the Year. Danny, how you feeling about this one?
You know, I'm seeing a lot on Kings Twitter. All the Kings fans, they're so excited, Cade, because Keegan Murray won the Summer League MVP. I'm just gonna do this for all Sacramento Kings fans, so you guys can get humbled. You guys haven't made the playoffs since 2006. Let's just take a look at the last 5 Summer League MVPs. Cameron Thomas rode the bench, didn't play in the playoffs for the Nets. Davion Off-Night Mitchell, also on the Kings. He did not do anything last year. Okay, 10 points per game, nothing too crazy. He showed some promises, but didn't affect winning yet. Brandon Clark, Grizzlies. He's like a 8th man on the Grizzlies now. Josh Hart, he's bounced around a couple teams. And then Lonzo Ball, he's also on his 3rd team. So Summer League MVP doesn't really mean too much to me. I was looking at the odds on BetMGM. Keegan Murray is the 3rd favorite to win the Rookie of the Year award. So I don't think that's too hot of a take, especially if this Kings offense kind of revolves around Keegan Murray, because I know they have Sabonis and Harrison Barnes. You know, those are 2, proven scorers, but, looking into the future, Harrison Barnes, he's on an expiring contract. They might trade him and they might just lean on the young players. I don't know. Kings are kind of weird spot. I don't know if they're in win now mode. I didn't even mention De'Aaron Fox. But to make the playoffs last year, they finished as the 12th seed. They won 30 games, and this offseason, this is what they did. They traded for Kevin Huerter. He's a consistent 3-and-D player. Once upon a time, people were calling him the next Klay Thompson. That hasn't panned out yet, and they did sign Malik Monk. That's a solid signing. I think they got some shooters to, Sabonis, he can move the ball around. De'Aaron Fox, get him some more shooters. But Malik Monk was a solid pickup. I thought they got him for cheap, who was really the only bright spot on the Lakers last year. He had a couple games where he made 7 threes. He made 8 threes in a game once upon a time. But when they traded for Sabonis last year, they only went 5-10. So it's not like Sabonis turned that team around last year. So the team looks good, but just in the Western Conference, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. Maybe instead of winning 30 games, they'll win 35 now.
Yeah, no, I could see that. I think, again, almost like the Nets, obviously, of course, I mean, the Nets look good right now. They might be sellers at the trade deadline. I think you could see the opposite, seeing where the Kings are at the trade deadline, if they're doing pretty good, if they end up being buyers. I mean, yeah, it's so hard to say with this Kings team exactly where they're going to end up, especially just because they're such a young team. I mean, they got Sabonis, which is obviously going to be that team leader, but outside of that, it's such a young, just developing team.
And they have good players like De'Aaron Fox. That's a solid player. Davion Mitchell, Keegan Murray, but I just don't know if it's good enough.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it's good enough either, especially just again that young talent. I mean, they've got so much to develop. They don't really know what that playoff mentality is yet. So, yeah, Kings. I mean, you might have them right there at 11th, maybe even sneaking their way into the play-in. But
Hmm.
again, this is you'd be making that argument very easily if this was the East, but this is the West. There's no breathing room in the West. It's going to be so difficult for them to find a way to make it, even as a play-in team. So realistically, yeah, seeing the Kings as a playoff team, no, not yet. That's not happening now. Maybe give it a year, see what they do in the next draft, see if they
You
maybe
know,
make moves in the offseason and sign a big time free agent. But until then, yeah, I don't think that's happening.
well,
Keegan,
I'm looking at like the plan last year. So the Spurs made the playing game, winning 34 games. The Kings were only 4 games behind, and they did get better this offseason. So playing is definitely a possibility. They probably won't win the play-in tournament. I don't think they'll sneak up to the 8th seed, but play-in tournament for sure is a possibility.
yeah, okay, I'll take that one. Playing
Yeah,
possibility, and that's even then too. You look at that, the Spurs fell back. I mean, they're not going to be. I
they're
mean,
not getting better.
they're caving. I mean, they're not doing good. Um, God, who are some of those other playing teams? I'm trying to think
It
off the
was
top of my
so
head.
the plan. It was Pelicans 8, Clippers 9, Spurs 10, Lakers 11. And then the Kings were behind the Lakers.
Okay, yeah, the Clippers obviously getting better. Spurs, like I said, down. Wolves. I mean, I think they're going to be a playing team again, so you're
Hmm.
keeping them right in the mix. And then what's the
Pelicans,
team
if
that I'm
Zion stays healthy, they'll be
Pelicans? Yeah,
better.
they're going to be in there.
Lakers, maybe, hopefully, they'll be better.
Yeah, I was going to say, only you think hope that they're going to be better. I don't think anybody else that follows the show hopes that they'll be better. But yeah, no. So I mean, all I'll say is, especially in the West, I feel like those play-in teams right there. I mean, seeds 8 through 11, 8 through 12, those could be all a coin flip. So if the Kings end up in that area, possibility. But I don't see it happening. Keegan Murray getting Rookie of the Year. I mean, I don't know. That's hard to say because you got players like Paolo who's going to Orlando, which is going to be, I don't know if that's going to be his place to play in my opinion. You got Chet, who I think is going to be a fantastic fit for Oklahoma City. Realistically, I know I was kind of trashing on Chet, but I think he might be Rookie of the Year this year. But Keegan Murray, he does have the age, he does have the experience at the college level. Being out of Iowa, I think he was the top scorer in the Big Ten, if I remember correctly. Maybe the top
Yeah.
scorer throughout the NCAA. Um, so yeah, I mean that's not a terrible take, but I just think as of now, I think there's going to be more guys that are more NBA ready, like for example Chet, and I'll throw Paolo in there. I think you can see him finishing
Yeah.
above
I
Keegan Murray.
think Paolo, he's the favorite for a good reason. He's in Orlando where they don't have any scorers, and he's expected to carry that duty. Whereas Keegan Miller, he's got some guys with him. I don't know how many shots a night he's going to be able to get up with Fox, Sabonis, the shooters they signed, Harrison Barnes, who he's a consistent 18 points per game a year. So I don't really see that happening, but it's definitely possible.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, you want to? Hey, this is I think your favorite one so far. You want to get
Okay,
into it?
let's
All
do it.
right, coming in from my boy Zach. We got Zion MVP and the Sixers winning it all this year.
Ooh, Kade, give me some Zion MVP tickets because I'm all in on Zion. I don't know if you saw the latest Jumpman ad as Zion showing off his new shoes. Cade, this dude is jacked. This dude looks like a NFL defensive lineman. Like he's big but built now. He's had a whole year to get in the gym. The only thing that is stopping him from potentially becoming an MVP this year is if he's gonna play games. We talked about it a little bit earlier. His rookie year, he only played 24 games. The sophomore year, he played 61. And last year, obviously, he missed the entire year last year with that foot injury. There's only been 6 MVPs that have played less than 70 games. One was Giannis with the COVID year. One was Karl Malone with the NBA lockout. And then 2 of the other guys that happened in like the 50s. So we won't even count that. So the magic number for Zion, I think, is if he can play 70 games. Cade, his sophomore year, second year in the league. I'm going to pull up the stats, but I kind of remember it. He averaged 27 points per game. Um, let me pull up the 7 rebounds and about 4 assists in his second year. He was an all-star. They didn't win. They only won 31 games, but they were playing with Waylon Jones, Eric Bledsoe, Steve Van Gundy was the coach. Now they got an actual roster. Bi, we talked about him. CJ McCollum, Kade. This is shaping up for a little Zion MVP here.
I'll see. Here's my thing. Again, like I said, it comes down to health. I've got to be able to see what he's able to do before I really make a judgment on how he is. Obviously, with that being said, I can't say that he's going to win MVP. I think he has the potential, but as of now, I just cannot say. I cannot get on board with that. I think they're just players that are going to be a little bit more trained, a little bit better, a lot more ready to go that are going to be able to win MVP. I honestly, real quick, I'll say this right now. I think Jokic has a better chance of going for a three-peat at MVP before Zion has a chance to win it this year. I just think,
Ooh, no.
yeah, I'll say. I mean, that's just kind of where I'm
He
feeling.
won it last year because he was by himself, and he was a 6 seed and he won the MVP. He was just by himself.
I mean, I'll say that I agree. I think that, in my opinion, I wanted Embiid to win it last year. I thought he was a bit of a better player. I thought he did have that help, but even then, it's not like Harden really did that much to help him. Joel Embiid was just tearing it up his own way. I think Embiid should have won it last year. Obviously, it was Jokic. As of now, you're looking at Zion in his fourth season, only having played 85 games throughout his entire NBA career. I just don't see it happening this year. I'm not saying it's not a bad take. I'm not saying it's a bad take, but in the 2022 season, it's not happening. I think you're going to see him play almost more of a role like Ja did in his second year. I think he's going to be a very good player that's going to help that team rise to be one of the best teams in the league. You're going to start seeing the Pelicans start making more moves and transitions to become one of those top teams in the West. But as of now, he still has so much more to develop at the NBA level. And again, like I said, I think you don't see that until you really do see Zion take that true leadership role.
Okay, you got me going. Give me the Pelicans as a top 5 team in the West next year.
That's what you think?
Give me top 5 Pelicans, yeah. I'm going Suns, Grizzlies, Warriors.
Oh, wait, hold on. I want to talk about this. You think Suns are going to be top 5 next year?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the West.
Yeah, in the West. I don't agree with that at all.
What?
Okay, not at all. I think they didn't get worse, but the league around them definitely got better. Hold up. Okay, I got to pull this up. I think so. Well, 1 second. Let me keep going, though. Let me hear your top 5.
They won 64 games last year. They were 8 games ahead of the 2 seed, and they didn't get worse in the offseason. Grizzlies top 5. Warriors, they're in there. I think the Pelicans could be better than the Mavs. That might be a hot take. I think they could be better than the Jazz. And then I'll throw the Nuggets and Pelicans ahead of them. So those okay. I have Pelicans as a 6 seed right now. I think, and we saw Jokic last year as a 6 seed win MVP. So I definitely think it's possible if Zion is going to win MVP. I think it's possible. Lock him in as a 6 seed. If he plays 70 games, there's a chance.
Okay. See, here's my thing. Real quick, going back to the Suns. I got them as a 6. I think Memphis is better. Golden State obviously better. Dallas better, Denver better, LA, the Clippers are going to be better. So that's 5 right there. That's better than the Suns. Then I think you got the Suns at 6. And then even then, I'll even make the argument, seeing how Zion plays in that Pelicans team in general, you can throw them anywhere between, I think, 8 and 4. I think realistically, you could see that Pelicans team finding a way to get better than Denver if Denver can't find a way to stay healthy. I think you can see him possibly being better than Dallas. So I'm not going to say that yet, but I think there's a possibility right there. Obviously, the Suns are up there for possibly being a team that they could be better than. That's my thing, is that I think as of now, you got Suns 6, Pelicans right there in the play on at 7.
Kid, I wasn't ready for you to come out blazing with your hot takes. As a Suns fan, you're calling them the 6th best team in the West.
As of now, right? Because here's my thing, is that in the NBA, you consistently have to get better if you want to find a way to win. The Suns went to the 2021 NBA Finals, did very little to upgrade their team from last year, or from that year. I mean, they added JaVale McGee off the bench. And that was really the biggest addition. I mean, got Landry Shamet, too, from Brooklyn. Those are really the 2 biggest additions. They finished with 64 wins, one of the best teams, or the best team in the league. Obviously, that didn't work out, went out in the second round. And I think just because of that whole KD saga and trying to get him to Phoenix in a trade package, I mean, because of that, you lost they lost way too many opportunities on trying to get any free agents. They ended up getting, I mean, who did they get? They got Landale, Damian Lee. I mean, some guys that are okay, I guess, but they're not going to be guys that are going to be consistently coming off the bench and really putting up good stats. The only really hope I have at this point is Dario Saric comes back from his ACL, really puts together some of the games he was at towards the end of this season in 2021, and even maybe possibly getting campaign some better looks off the bench, but. I mean, that's other than that, that Suns starting five is going to be what's carrying them, but they don't have the depth anymore, at least in my opinion, to be one of the top teams in the West.
I don't know, Kate. I think they're still good. One thing about the Suns is like even though they maybe didn't get better, it's like they're still. It's pretty much the same team, same core. Maybe Chris Paul looked bad in that Dallas series towards the end. Maybe if he just falls off a cliff, like he's bound to eventually. That's the only reason why I would see that happening. But this roster is too good. I think. I mean, they even like Biombo. You mentioned Saric. Shamit's a solid player off the bench. Like if I'm looking at the other teams, the Mavericks, they had a big offseason move. The Jazz, big offseason moves. Same with the Timberwolves.
Where'd the Jazz go? The Jazz are
I
going to
mean,
be terrible this year.
they got rid of Gobert.
Okay, so you're just saying that they're moving down, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they're moving down, but they're also changing the roster. The Suns, one of the only teams in the West that didn't have like big offseason moves that shakes up their entire their chemistry. They know how to play. They like their jump shots. They like their pick and rolls. Kate, that's such a hot take. I wasn't ready for it.
I was gonna say I don't see it happening, and the only reason why is I think it does come down to DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul too, just because of his age. I don't want to take too much longer on this, just because I want to get back to some of these takes.
Okay.
But I think, I mean, like you said, Chris Paul is bound to fall off the cliff at some point. I think that's going to happen very soon. DeAndre Ayton obviously just got paid over the offseason, 4-year, $133 million. Had to get him back from Indiana after he was there for pretty much like a day, signed that offer sheet. So I mean. What it comes down to, is if Chris Paul is able to stay alive and stay well in the league, and I think DeAndre Ayton has the potential to be a player like Joel Embiid, but he just lacks the motivation to have that potential. So I think now coming in with the 4-year, $133 million, people are expecting him to come in and show out. I think if he actually puts together some of those real good dominant years, like you saw back in college when he was at Arizona, you could see him develop into a player like Joel Embiid. But again, like I said, I haven't seen that come out yet. Shimmers of it every once in a while. I haven't seen that come out yet, so it's very hard to say that. That's why I have the Suns being where they are. Realistically, looking at Devin Booker, possible MVP candidate, right there. But let's get back into it real quick. Had to get that one. Had to say that one because I think that's a very reasonable take. Zion, obviously, Pelicans could be there. How do you feel about the 76ers possibly winning it all this year?
Kate, I've always been a fade 76ers. I just don't like that. I just don't like this team. I'm sorry. Doc Rivers, the most chokingly famous head coach. He's blown 3-3-1 leagues. We saw it last year. Joel Embiid and Harden continue to disappoint in the playoffs. I pulled up some of their stats. Last year's playoffs, James Harden, 18 points per game on 40% from the field. He called himself out. Embiid called him out. They both said that Harden was not aggressive enough. We saw it in Game 5 and 6 versus the Heat. He had a 14-point Game 5 and then an 11-point Game 6 when they got bounced. Embiid averaged 30 points per game in the regular season last year. Kade, you were saying he's the MVP all year, and then his points per game dropped to 23 in 12 playoff appearances last year. That Game 5 and Game 6 against the Heat. Embiid came out with a 17-point Game 5, minus 35, and then a 20-point Game 6, a minus 9. These guys, Embiid, Harden, not only do they not stay healthy, they just don't show up in the biggest of stages. I'm not going to fall for it. After I fell for it in Houston, and I fell for the Clippers and with Doc Rivers, and I'm not falling for it again. The Sixers are not winning it.
Yeah, I think they can win the East. I mean, I think that's a reasonable take. I think as of now, the Celtics have a chance to possibly repeat. I don't think that's happening, though, just because I feel like there's some inconsistencies there. I think as you could look into this upcoming season, the Bucks I feel like are going to be that number one spot in the East. I think they're going to be the ones projected to win the that conference. But I mean, right behind them, I think what the Heat are up there, and they have a possibility of getting better if they land Durant. Um,
Mhm.
Sixers are right there. I think the Sixers have a chance at making. Like I said, I think the Sixers have a chance of making the East. But I agree. I think that as of now, they're a little bit too far out from possibly winning the championship. Especially again, like I said, when you run, or not like I said, I haven't said this yet, but as you run into those teams in the East, it just I think they don't have the firepower to really compete with some of those really well shooting teams. Or my bad, not the East, the West. The teams in the West. I mean, they don't have the firepower to match with those teams out of the West. I mean, you got shooters on Golden State. You could say Dallas has some really good shooters, all that stuff. So I think you can see him winning the East with physicality and Joel Embiid. I don't see him going past that, though. I think they at most go to the finals. That's the ceiling for that Sixers team.
All right. At most, I see them going Eastern Conference Finals. I don't see them, or semifinals. I don't even see them going. I don't think they're the second best team in the East. So that's the highest I got them going. Give me the Bucks all day in a series with them. Celtics all day. Heat all day. Okay, I'll slot them at 4 right now. I'll slot them at 4.
Slot them 4. I see that's
Yeah.
solid. I think they're going to be good with that. I got the Heat having a chance of beating them. Obviously, the Bucks beating them. Celtics are kind of up and down about. I mean, they're a great defensive team, but who knows how good of a defensive team they're going to be this upcoming season. I mean, I think at this point you could see him at 4, but at the same time, I could see him finding a way and slipping into the NBA Finals, seeing how inconsistent the East can be at some points. I mean, obviously, you have the Celtics going to the finals this past year when they got into some scary moments. So,
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's very much a possibility. It's about who gets hot in the East at this point. All right, but we got one more coming from Vince. This is a interesting take to say the least. I mean, I would almost, if I didn't know who he was, I'd honestly take this as a joke. But Carmelo Anthony is the GOAT. No, not even close. If we're talking Syracuse, yeah, I think he's the GOAT there. Unless you want to throw Boheim in there as their coach. I mean, but other than that, yeah, no, Carmelo Anthony definitely not the GOAT. He had some fantastic years in the early 2000s, pretty much up until he was a Knick. After that, though, I mean, he's fallen off completely, and I think at most he can be a reliable player off the bench, and that's about it.
I mean, I'm always gonna have a soft spot for Carmelo Anthony. One of my favorite players watching growing up. Yeah, but you said it. After the Knicks, he's kind of fallen off. I think he's out of the league. I don't think he's on a team right now. I mean, he won't. I'm sure he'll find a landing spot, but top 100 player all time for sure. Top 50, but he's not sniffing.
Top 50, okay.
Okay,
well, yeah, no,
top 100.
Yeah, easily 100. Was he on the top 75 for the NBA 75?
That's a good question, actually. Let me see if I can find
I want to take a look at that too. But I think you can possibly, depending on who you're talking to, you can squeeze them in at just right outside the top 50. But even then, I think that's a little bit of a stretch.
He made the 75th anniversary team.
He did or didn't?
He did.
See, yeah, and that makes sense. I think, I see him right there. He did. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So, I mean, like I said, I think putting him in top 50, I could see. I don't think it's necessarily – he's not top 50 level, but he's just right outside that as of now. So, that's my take on that one. But, yeah, no, definitely not the GOAT.
Who was your favorite Melo? Was it Knicks or Nuggets?
See, I grew up watching – I mean, I feel like I got a little bit of a late start going to basketball, so I think – my favorite would have to be Knicks Melo.
Okay.
I think that's where he really shined. I mean, obviously he had some really electric years when he was playing in Denver, but I didn't really start seeing him play until he was a Knicks. So, and I think that was just, a good time. I remember Melo when he was rocking those Christmas Day jerseys.
Ooh, I remember that too. Remember Amari Stoudemire?
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say those are some good memories right there. Some core memories when it comes to basketball, but. Yeah, no, he's one of those players that, he was in that draft class with LeBron. You kind of wish that he kept up with that, but obviously all great things must come to an end. And at this point, he's still in free agency. Who knows when he's going to be able to find a team? And I was going to say it's about that time when those players start finding their end,
Yeah, unfortunately.
I know. All right, Danny,
he had a good year with the Lakers last year. Honestly,
that's true.
He was solid for us. He'll find he'll find a spot somewhere where he can, pull up a bunch of threes and make 3 a game, 2 games. So I'm sure he'll find a home.
Hey, I was gonna say I wouldn't mind seeing him on the Suns. I mean, that could be something kind of fun, you know.
Okay.
Hey, and I'm not. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that. I can't say that, but we'll maybe talk about this in the next episode. But yeah, no, I can see him in the Suns jersey for sure.
Okay,
Sure.
maybe they'll be better than a 6 team after Melo.
Oh, jeez. I was gonna say, hey, a little more depth. You know, they might squeeze into a 5. You never know. But all right, Dan, you got anything else to wrap up with?
I don't think so. Thank you to everyone who sent in their takes. Really fun show, I thought. And man, we can go on for forever, KG.
Oh yeah, I know. I was gonna say, I'm hoping we can do something like this again in the future. Obviously, it probably won't be a while just because you do have the NBA season coming up very soon. At least very soon in my eyes. I mean, you still got 2 months. Shoot, there's what 7, 8 weeks of football before that, which is crazy to think about. But I mean, you got preseason coming up. I think we're going to be able to talk some stuff there, just because we'll have a good idea of what players we might be able to see dominating this year's NBA season. But as I said, I mean, yeah, no, I was gonna say I had a great time doing this. It was good being able to interact with more of the fans, being able to get some of their takes and talk about it on the show.
Hey, tune in on TikTok. Kate, we're gonna start posting on TikTok now?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I've been thinking about this entire week because I've been like, God, it's kind of tough because I feel like at this point we kind of got to do the fashion stuff, but like, it's maybe just upcoming weeks I'm going to bring back the random number generator and try getting some fits out of that. And hey, who knows? Maybe if they're good enough, I'll wear them to school. You never know. Classes,
okay.
You know? All right, you got any last thoughts, Danny?
I don't think so.
All right, I think that's it. Hey, of course, again, this is a fan appreciation episode. We thank all of you guys for being fans. I mean, we're now 8, 9 months into this. So we're making things work, you know, and we do have some really big things planned over the next few months as the semester gets kicked off again. We really hope to just build this fan base more, and hopefully the next time we do this, we're going to have more than maybe just 9 takes. We're going to have just a whole list of stuff to talk about. We're going to have a whole bunch of people on this live stream being able to watch through this. So, like I said, I mean, it's still a very young show. It's still the start of it, but I mean, we just want to say season 2. There you go.
We're gonna have to put together the skits. Might have to be coming back, Kate.
Oh, jeez, I know. I forgot about that. Jesus Christ, I forgot about those skits. Those were tough to come up with too. I mean, it took some times, but yeah, no. But as the fans, I mean, you guys were here. Just remember, you guys were here when it first started. We don't know what the ceiling for the show is going to be, but we want it to be big. So, we want you to be part of that history, and of course, we want to appreciate you guys for everything you've done so far. So, of course, like I said, thank you again. 94 feet. We are finally going back into a more consistent schedule with the semester starting up. And of course, as always, we'll see y'all around.